everybody. Greetings and salutations. Hi, Strangeness, aka Barry and Jen here. Hope everyone is well and blessed. I'm sorry this stream was delayed. Sometimes it's a good idea to think things over. These are things that I've spoken of before. Please disregard the puppy noises in the background. He is enjoying his peanut butter. Sammy. Manners. Yeah, he don't care. I hope you guys are well. I do. As always, I try to ramble a little bit, give people a chance to get here. Please forgive any lag or anything like that that might be occurring on a backup device. It is rudimentary at best. It is rustic, considering what is out there today on YouTube. So I thank you for spending some of your time with some woman, some isolated mom in Northeast Ohio, and her two pups. Okay, so this topic is something I've spoken of, trying to connect things for everybody on both channels. And now I'm going to try and bring some of it together, but we're going to do it in a research with me style. Because as always, when you start researching something, even though you've looked it up a million times, more information may come to light with time, or more information, false information, misinformation might saturate the internet, Sam, the internet lines here, so to speak, and bury the truth even more. So, having said that, I started looking some of this up to grab some information so I wasn't just at a complete loss. And yes, my mind works like that. I think that's just why I do this. This started out, I do it because I was asked to do it, but I also do it because it is said, it is written, that through our testimony and the sacrifice of the Lamb, we overcome our adversary, the wicked one. I have a hard time using names these days because, again, the further away we get from a certain time or an origin of a thing, the more convoluted it becomes, and the more gossip, rumors, speculation are added to the pile. And instead of building upon something with a firm foundation, it's a deck of cards, right? It's easily blown over like a deck of cards if you were stacking them. I'm going to try to explain some of the idioms and references that I use because a lot of people are younger and don't always understand what I'm talking about. And not just that, it is written that there is a certain kind of individual that does not understand a parable. And so I keep trying, regardless of that, to explain things in a variety of different ways because, again, I'm planting seeds. I used to be the same way. So I do this as an act of love, I hope. Somebody called it heresy on one of the big Catholic channels today to say that Christ left us with only one law. It's the truth. We have the 10 Commandments. I'm not going to disagree with that. I'm not going to undermine Moses' laws at all. But I will say that if we do all things from a place of love, true love, then we're not going to err. Not love for self, love for others. And it's hard to have that love for self or others if you don't love the one who made you. We have a lot of people rocking around degrading humanity, and we are falling into that. They could not get us yet into a civil war over religion. It's not a holy war yet. They could not get us into a race war yet. Though we've come close so far in all of those fronts. They couldn't get us into an international war, although allegedly we are in proxy wars. And let me just explain. When you hear the word proxy, I hope you understand proxy means false, pseudo, fake. Or we talked about proxies with Slender Man. A proxy is someone else you put in place of you. Like when you play chess and you have your king behind all of the pawns. The pawns would be the proxies. They're out there fighting the war while the king is in his castle safe. not in chess, so to speak, but you get the meaning. We are cattle, we are slaves, we are food, only if we consent to it and if we want to be. So unfortunately, when I promised to do this, I forgot that I have kind of a photographic memory, and that's not me bragging, please, because I know my faults, and I've aired them online again so that they cannot be used against me in some time in the future. And you can point at me and call me crazy, but let me be very clear about something. You're not medical doctors either. You're not psychologists or psychiatrists, most of you, who would troll me and say such things. It is agreed upon by theologians better than myself and bigger than myself, with expensive pieces of paper on their walls, who have attended college and university, and bigger YouTube channels than this, of course, who also are in line with my thinking when we say, if we were not allowed to give medical advice or caution people when there was experimentation going on nationwide, then the same rule must then apply to you. You cannot be armchair MDs or psychologists, psychiatrists, shrinks, whatever you want to call them. Having said that, let's get into this. Way back when all this started, 2017, there were some images that came online, and we heard about Gotham Shield, or Project. I always say project. I don't know why. Operation Gotham, or Gotham Shield, Operation Gotham City. There's a few of them, and when you start looking into these things, it opens up bigger chasms. It leads to other tributaries, other limbs, other whatever you want to call it, other things, other topics, a deeper rabbit hole. And so I want to do this in front of you all so that you can see. When I bring these things up, I'm not just fabricating things. When I say I remember this or I remember that, it's not me having different memories. The information is out there. You just got to look for it and connect the dots. Some of you who are voting age right now, you're very young, and you're being manipulated through your emotions. And I'm going to touch base on emotions when I talk about the person or individual who I believe is playing the part of Two-Faced in all this. But let me not get ahead of myself here. The last several Uber drivers that I've had who have brought me food or whatever, because I don't drive, but I do try to watch my carbon footprint at the same time. And yeah, I'm not like a nature worshiper, but God made this kingdom for us. We're not supposed to be trashing it again. We are falling into pitfalls by beings who are not of our kind. They do not have mankind's best interest at heart. And I know that sounds wild to some people. You need to understand now that it's time to either ascend in your thinking, or you are going to be deceived at every turn. And it's not going to be a good type of self-deception where you lie to yourself that, oh, somebody loves me and I'm, it's not a good, cushy feeling, prosperity gospel type of thing that's going to happen. And again, I'm not the only one speaking to these things. God, source, creator, these uploads that people are getting, it's happening all over. One person talks about it and then it spreads. And that's something else we got to be very careful what we're talking about, because it's going through this quantum computer that is the internet, which was created at CERN. Everyone forgets the main purpose of that thing. When they show you pictures, they're not giving them to you in proper context. When they give you words, they're not showing you the proper pictures. So it's up to us to unscramble all of this and put it together in a cohesive manner that we will understand. Because again, things get inverted from both sides. As above, so below, but it's mirrored, which means everything is the polar opposite, and we're having a lot of extremist behavior at this point. So I'm trying to walk the line of balance, and that's why sometimes I take breaks. Batman is everywhere. It was my high school sweetheart's guy too. For whatever reason, the verbiage from Batman talking about all of these asylums, and you should see it all over YouTube. I've showed you how many big YouTubers are talking about homelessness. and about asylums. And they're going to put those two things together. And some people who don't belong in those stalls or those compartmental boxes or those patterns or in the algorithms, right? Because they want to label everybody. Some people who don't belong in places like that are going to get swept up in the current anyway, like a tidal wave. You're not going to be able to fight against it. It's going to be the shackles are already going to be on. And I've been talking about this for so long now. I am tired. I have no desire to harm myself or anyone else, but I have a really huge desire to go off and be totally alone. And there are certain behaviors I'm seeing around me. It's not just on screens for me. And people, again, are starting to talk about this. And it is, honestly, it's lovely to be a little vindicated. I mean, they had to make up a disease just to cover what's happening. Demon syndrome, are you kidding me? And the young people are believing it. And some people are saying they believe it because they know what it is and they're a part of it. So Batman is everywhere, right? And when all this started, we started with Operation Gotham. So let's take a look at this. Let's refresh our minds if you've never seen this. And we're also going to pay very close attention to dates. And I know that what I'm looking at right now, you're saying this does not go along with the title that you give us. I promise you it's all connected. And I might have been a little off. I haven't decided yet. When I talk about the red hair being a pattern and somebody in that royal family possibly being one of the big people and all big players, the red hair is also indicative of the Joker. I think it was the Joker. Wasn't it the Joker who originally had the orange hair in the comics? But we're going to look at that in a minute too. But let's take a look and see what this says. Look at the year. Note the year. Right before the world went to, my world anyway, went upside down. My Florida trip was in 2018. And again, all these dates, like, I do take a lot of this very personal because a lot of it is very personal. Everything I love is being attacked. France is falling to this liberal, and you know what? I'm not totally conservative. Like, I'm not, because I'm just not. But I'm not liberal either, and I'm not libertarian. I don't fit in any of these boxes, and I'm not going to say that I do. And I'm not going to vote because it makes other people happy. And I'm not going to take medication because it makes old white men around me more comfortable, because if I'm doped up on some type of whatever, then I'm quiet and I don't speak my mind. My father, my earthly dad, did not raise me that way. He raised me partly on a bar stool, having discourse with people who were older than me. And I believe he did that with a purpose. Everything certain people do is with a very specific purpose. And if somebody knows how to play chess, that is one of those people. There are certain people out there, every little thing every day that they do is with a purpose. We need to start paying attention. We need to stop allowing ourselves to get caught up in ideologies and agendas because we idolize people that we see on a screen and we want to be like them, or we want them to notice us. These people are not our peers. Let me be very clear. If you're a slave, if you're working a 9 to 5, if you're a legitimate houseless person, if you are an independent thinker, if you're a Christian in a liberal city, if you're a liberal in a Christian city, if you just don't fit in, if you're an individual and you're unique. Satan's kingdom wants us to all be carbon copies of each other. I heard somebody that I really admire, a rather small channel, but he gave me the best advice I've gotten in years. He said, make a refuge of your mind, and I've done that. And I couldn't be more thankful. But I heard him saying the other day how Satan was the one who was afraid of aging and death. They want us to give over our bodies and our planets to whatever is happening. They need your consent to do that. They want you to leave this place. They want you to want to be deleted and erased. I'm trying to use specific words here to not set off or trigger out the AI monitors, right? And if you haven't figured out that pretty much all of YouTube is monitored by AI at this point, I don't know what else to tell you. There's a lot of AI deception happening. I believe AI is the beast. I believe AI was given power. Power was given to the beast of AI in 2019. I believe that some people, individuals in person, in real life, are behaving like drones and like they're of the hive mind. I've seen it displayed, and you see it on the screen. Trump is not the same individual. That's not the same person. Dude has no soul. Like, I don't know if it's a robot. I don't know what it is. AI. I don't know. I don't know if it's him and he's just that different. But something ain't, the lights aren't on. Nobody's home in there. Something is way off with that guy and Ivanka. And they were both poised to be in certain positions, I think. And again, I think he is a great businessman. I think she's someone that most women can look up to. And I know it's said about what they do in the secret corners. I'm not here to talk about that because, again, we got to be really careful what we're feeding the algorithm. And we have to try to counteract what's happening. And I think that the internet is a big part of it. And I think that ancient societies knew this. And I think this is why certain technologies were, I think they were literally buried. Ask yourself why the internet cables to the internet are buried in the sea, in the ocean. You think if there allegedly there's so many satellites up there at this point, we would not be, it would be a crowded sky. Like Wall-E. Come on, man, we got to use our brains. When they show you the ISS and there's nothing up there, but then at the same breath, they tell you we've never left near Earth orbit. And now yesterday, we've got somebody from another country addressing our Congress. And basically, these are pleas for money. This is what they're doing. These are their fundraisers. Wars are their fundraisers. And now they want to pull everyone into another war. And I'm not taking sides. Like, I'm not a person who's I'm going to do my best not to do that. I'm on God's side, whatever that means. And Christ stood down. He told Paul to stand down. Or not Paul. John, I think it was. In the Gethsemane garden. We're not supposed to be violent. So I'm doing my best to counteract things and to put things on display. So this started in 2017 when the world kind of went to crap. Operation Gotham Shield. Notice the verbiage again is Batman. And then how did all this start with CV, with the corona? That started with a bat. Okay, all my disclaimers are in the disclaimer section. You've got really big channels using these words and not censoring themselves. They talk about baby ending. They talk about these things openly. So again, I'm not going to take fake emails from telling me that my channel has a strike, because that's happening too. Like everything that's going on right now is so shady from people who are saying that they're like Batman or Robin Hood, like they're going to make this a better place. It's going to get to the point where you've exposed everybody and somebody's going to expose you. And what do you do then? You get rid of everyone? Everyone? There's not going to be anybody left? Who's going to be left? And let me be very clear. I'm not always talking to my human audience when I say certain things. I realize I'm speaking into a very powerful quantum computer, and I'm trying to give you clues here because I don't want to give voice to certain thoughts. We've talked about stories manifesting themselves. I don't know how it's happening. I never used to believe in that type of thing. But even Christ says to watch what take every thought captive. There's a reason we're supposed to think about higher things. And there's a reason we're at an extreme right now. What happens when you pull a rubber band and one side goes to one end and the other goes to the other end? What happens when you pull it to those extremes? Eventually it's going to snap. And everyone involved that has a hand on it is going to get hurt. All fun and games till somebody loses an eye, right? Let me take a sip of my mocha. It was a United States exercise in 2017 conducted by FEMA, which tested civil defense response capabilities to a nuclear weapons attack against New York City metropolitan area. the date that it started, April 23rd, 2017. I'm sure that if we cross-reference that date, April 23rd, we will see that it is some type of calendar event. It sounds like it's close to Easter, spring equinox, and which means it's probably also on the Catholic calendar. And if it's on that calendar, then it's probably on the Satan calendar. And you can find that at angelandfire.com. That's how all this started, was me digging in home computers. So yes, I take all of this very personally. France is falling. The Catholic Church is being attacked to no end. Women are being subjugated and attacked. And please, that is the lie that some bigger women, even women I admire, aren't speaking about. That's why they're allowed to have a platform still, is because they're not talking about the, and that'll be the next thing. It'll be a war of the sexes. We're already seeing it with Kamala being the nominee. And we're seeing it in the Catholic Church with women trying to be deacons and everything else. Let me just say that in the Old Testament, there were priestesses. And Mary hung out at the temple all day long every day. Like, that's what she did. So we need to be very careful when we are passing judgment upon certain things. Maybe the church isn't meant to change the spiritual church, but maybe the institution that man created could use a few little tweaks. And I'm not saying what side I'm on. I'm really not on a side, other than God's and mankind's. I want to see us not do this again. Do you not see how many times in history this has occurred? It's happening again. It happened with the witch trials, and it always starts with the children, the youngest generation that's easy to manipulate through their emotions. Do you know how many people signed up and didn't need to be drafted after 9/11 happened in New York? How many people do you think are going to be drafted now if they don't jump in after the speech that Netanyahu gave yesterday? I'm a Christian. I'm a Catholic Christian. They don't recognize Christ. I would love to witness to them. When I want to learn about the Torah or the Old Testament, I go to the rabbis sometimes. I go to their channels when I want to learn about Hebrew. But the Messiah came. The reason he's coming again a second time is because you didn't recognize him the first time. Now, as far as the world stage goes, yeah, they want us to believe it's a certain time right now. But man, you all should have read the end of the book. You have no idea what you're doing and what you're giving life to. Read the end of the book. Read the rest of it. Somebody needs to have a little passion. I am healthy. I have a healthy detachment to all these things. I have no desire to vote. It doesn't bother me. My everyday life probably won't change much depending on who gets in. It has nothing to do with that, you see. It has everything to do with how we interact every day and how we live our lives. Is that individual going to change how we live our lives? If not, then we're going to have the same problems. This can only change on an individual level that ripples outwards. The only time things trickle down is from God to us, because he has enough to give. Whoever gets in control of the leadership of our nation, it's not going to change. They're just changing the figurehead. Stop allowing yourselves to come to blows over these minuscule problems. We got bigger fish to fry, man. The nets are already in place. The trap has been sprung. The wolf is hiding in Grammy's clothes and Grammy's bed. The witch has got the oven on to throw us in. And yes, I'm using metaphors related to fairy tales there. Again, let's be very careful in understanding when things are meant literally and when they're meant figuratively. Because eventually all this stuff, all this tongue-tying you're doing of the people around you, who's left after that? You're pointing fingers now and laughing and everybody's a joke. What happens when it's you? What happens when the joke's on you? Because eventually that's what happens. A bully goes from the weakest kids. There's a reason he starts with the weak ones, right? because that's all he can handle. But a true narcissistic bully, like a real bully, he'll work his way up to his best friend. He don't care if he's left alone in the end. It doesn't bother him. He hates people that much that that's what he wants to do. These are sick individuals we're dealing with. It occurred over the course of 4 days, Gotham Shield, April 23rd to the 27th, 2017. It was part of FEMA's National Exercise Program. The operation involved hypothetical ground burst of a nuclear device at the New Jersey side entrance of the Lincoln Tunnel, resulting in hundreds of thousands of, you see that, maimed persons and 4.5 million refugees from the initial and subsequent fallout. Let me be very clear, too. All this border stuff we're seeing, it was the exact same several years ago for the last 2 elections. I would be willing to bet it's even the same old footage. I'd be willing to bet that. Because that one guy, what was he doing? Not Rumble, the other thing that starts with a T, not Twitter. I forget what it's called. Anyway, he went down there unannounced. He's not a big guy. He didn't have a lot of sponsors. But now he's like getting ridiculed and called crazy, and the gaslighting, all this stuff. He's being canceled because he went down there and he said, well, there's nobody here. Look. He said, where's all the refugees? I came to feed people. I wanted to feed people. And yeah, he was going to exploit them by feeding them. But that's why he went down there. And the cop told him, now turn around and leave. They were here, man. They're around. You missed them. Well, it's nighttime. They had to go back to their homes, right? The cameras were gone. Man, wake up. It's all a social experiment. All of it. Everything on the screen. None of it is real. When I was a kid, we knew this. Well, they thought the news was real, but most everything else we knew was fake. Don't believe everything you see on the internet. It was the same way with TV. Don't believe everything you see on the television. Even the rallies. You always have the lady with the blue hat and the blonde hair, and now they interviewed her. And she's at all the... She just happens to, be there. I don't even know where he's going to be till he's been there, usually. Every single rally. And then you have the guy with the glasses and the beard, the gray-white beard. He's on the right-hand side, usually. And then you have the JFK-looking dude with the curly-looking wig and the funky hats. He's usually up higher in the back. Same people all the time. Man, I wish people would just wake up. So, they did this to see what would happen if they were overwhelmed with refugees in New York City. Imagine, what did they do with all of the film? Could that be what the bigger YouTubers are using right now? Because if you look at some of these videos, if you type in New York City, some of the streets are still packed. But then when you see other people who are streaming, the city streets are empty, completely empty. Don't forget about the alleged cities that are in China that are replicas and duplicates of American and big cities all over the nation. I think they have a copy of New York, LA, Paris, because they have a fake Eiffel Tower, just like we do in Vegas. Put all this stuff together. There's a very big deception happening. Very, very big. Our whole life is a lie. The whole thing. Other activities. What else did it do? Gotham Shield occurred simultaneous with several partnered exercises testing the responsiveness of different agencies of the U.S. in the fulfillment of their own organizational priorities as they would apply to the core attack scenario, including vibrant response. Ask yourself why some of these soldiers come back so mad. I know people like that. People who react like that because you want the truth from them. Just talk to me. Tell me what happened. I'll be here. I promise I won't judge you. They're probably made to sign NDAs. They're probably not allowed to talk about it because a lot of what they do is acting. And I do not want to undermine the sacrifice of the people. That's not what I'm here to do. That's not what this is about. We've been fighting wars now from behind computers for how many years do you think with weaponized drones? We could get away with almost nobody passing, no casualties. Ask yourself why there is still casualties. Because they're rituals. And I don't care if you believe me. You can't see it now? That's what we're looking at? And the more that are done, the more blood that is spilled for the sources of darkness or whatever, the closer we get to Armageddon. I mean, just look around you. How to summon a demon. Right on Amazon. All you gotta be is 8 years old to buy a Ouija board. Man. Ouija board ruined my life, I can tell you that, for a lot of years. So Gotham's Shield occurred with a lot of other partnered activities at the same time. And, just like with football, oftentimes coaches will film practices. My dad did this for us in softball. So we could watch our swing and watch our stance and watch how we threw and work on what we needed to do better since we couldn't. This is why a lot of people work out in front of a mirror. It's not because they're idolizing themselves. It's to see if their form is proper. I mean, that's what you're supposed to be doing anyways. I can't speak for intention. I don't know anyone else's. And sometimes I do, but not all the time. Excuse me. So I wonder if they filmed this. Gee, and then if you combine this with crisis actors. Wait, you don't know what a crisis actor is, you say? Oh, let's look. Wait, let's do this. Let's look back real quick. I got something to show you if you don't remember what a crisis actor is. Let me refresh your memory. Huh, he's got the red hair, doesn't he? It's kind of something you see all over now. Pretty generic name. Born on December 13th, 1987. He went into a movie theater that was playing or premiering Batman. It was in Aurora, which I find interesting too, that name. In what year? 2012. 2012, my dad passed away. 2012, the Mayan calendar ended. 2012, a lot of strange things happened that year as well. How many people? 12. 12 in the 2012 incident in the Aurora Theater for a movie. It was his sister. I don't know. What? Oh, 22. Huh, she didn't believe that he was mentally ill. I wonder what he had to say. I actually never really looked into this. But this is how far back this stuff goes. For whatever reason, Batman seems to be a hero of, and yeah, the Justice League, I get it, justice. Have the day you deserve, right? Just because, I forget what the catchphrase is, somebody had to show this to me, so I saw it and understood what was happening, but I knew that they wouldn't interfere. I'm not going to harm you, but I'm not going to help you either, or something like that, right? And you all think you're good people. You think you're going to build a utopia. You think you're decent. Stay strong, because that's all that matters, right? Is the physical body and the physical outcome. What if I told you that that's not all that there is? What if I told you that there's more? What if I told you that even though you were lied to growing up, saying that you were rejected or God didn't want you for your bloodline or your genetic code, what if I told you that was a lie too? Do not be deceived. Just like we're not supposed to lie, don't allow yourself to be lied to. Do not lie to yourself. This is the world we live in. 12 people in 2012. That's interesting. July 20th. All these things around July as well. University of California, Riverside. That's interesting. University of Denver, Colorado. Incomplete PhD program. Let's see. They're saying he had, of course, schizoaffective disorder again, which there are no blood tests for. They say that maybe they can see it in your brain. They want to see if your brain is different than just a regular old normal person. Can I ask you who decides the standard for normal? Where do we get this standard from? Because if mass hallucination is a thing, well, then we know that mobs and masses of people can be notoriously in error and wrong and swept away by mob mentality. So tell me, how do we gauge this guideline of normality? I'm just asking questions, and if you're not asking these questions, and I'm sure this won't get a lot of views, the whole point is to show you something. Oh, wow, he got 12 consecutive life sentences. So you mean to tell me in the year 2012, he went into this theater for Batman premiering in Aurora, which is a store system. Um, you mean to tell me in 2012, 12 people were sacrificed, God forbid, and he got 12 consecutive life sentences? 12, 12, 12. Do you know that when I was hurt, when I had a head injury that I got back up from in 2019, it was 4 days before my birthday. It was 1/11. Why would I be involved? I'm just some woman from Ohio. Patterns, man. They're there. They're just there. And it doesn't mean I'm schizophrenic because I see them. It's a normal human behavior to look for and notice and recognize patterns. It's how we farm, by the patterns of the seasons changing. Cycles are patterns, life cycles, farming cycles. So again, please be very careful who you're listening to. So, reason not guilty by reason of insanity. Okay, personal life. Let's see. When exactly did he go loco? He was frightened of what he called nail ghosts that would hammer on the walls at night. Holmes saw a social worker before she sent him to a psychiatrist. Imagine this. These people are going to a psychiatrist before they have a meltdown. Kind of like what happened with me. Only they didn't realize who raised me. See, I was raised by two very, very strong people, broken people, but very strong individuals, hard-headed individuals. So you can only imagine being carted in between the two of them all the time. And two totally, completely different family lifestyles. What a chameleon I became. And how hard-headed I became. You're not going to manipulate me into doing harm. I'm not going to harm anybody. That's not why I'm here. The one who sacrifices his life for his friends. There is no greater act of love. He was depressed and obsessed with blanking for over a decade. Now, let me remind you, that's a quote coming from this alleged psychiatrist. I've also heard stories where children had to testify against their mother. The mother who tried to save them, drove them to a hospital. So tell me, if the mother actually was the one who did these children harm, why would she drive them to a hospital? But it's the oldest daughter, see, the one who might have a little friction with the mom. I know because I was one. It was the oldest daughter that the psychiatrist zoned in on. And every session, she made her write her mother's name on a piece of paper, crumple it up, and throw it in a fire. Does that sound like proper medical care to you? Oh, it brought her power. It empowered her. Did it? Really? What about Gypsy Rose? Who created her? You want to say her mother did, huh? The one who took her everywhere, huh? Sacrificed her life to take her daughter to the doctor every day. Now you're going to say, Jennifer, you're sticking up for monsters here. No, I am playing devil's advocate, though, for a minute. Why are we going to say that mother made her daughter sick and made her get surgeries? We're forgetting one very important aspect here. What about the doctors? You see, the mother couldn't operate. She didn't have a surgical unit. She didn't have a hospital of her own. You mean to tell me she came in and bossed those people around and told them what to do? Oh my gosh, that's not how it works when you go to a doctor. It's barely how it works when you go to get your hair cut. They tell you what you want. They tell you what's good for you. Now, granted, I have a good doctor who actively listens. and doesn't shove things down my throat that I don't need, which is probably a very good blessing and saving grace I have in all this. People don't just go crazy. People around them want to make them that way. They want them to appear that way. Ask yourself, if all of these people all over our nation are going crazy, why are they having the same delusion? Why are they all interacting with beings that are allegedly not of this earth? And they're either reptilians or they're angelic. Ask yourself this. Is it people? In great part, yes. I've already showed you how this could be faked with general anesthesia and all these other things. I'm not a doctor. This isn't medical advice. This is basic common sense if you know anything at all in this world. If you don't, then who ties your shoes every day and brushes your teeth? He decided to pursue a degree in neuroscience. You mean to tell me this person just one day went bonkers? You have to be brilliant to be able to do that type of work. That's what I'm saying. They want us to hate legitimate doctors. You have to understand, there's a counterfeit. There's a really bad counterfeit of everything right now. The medical system. They wanted you to believe that your medical doctors and nurses were out there dancing in the streets while people were passing away. Were they actually nurses and doctors, though? Do you have proof of that? Do you know that? Were you in any of the hospitals? Do you know they were full at capacity, or were they empty? We have to do real world, real life investigation again. It's not enough to look something up. It's not enough to read it. It's not enough for somebody to tell you. If you want to know if something's true, you're going to have to go find out for yourself. And it's going to have to be beyond a screen. And I would say Godspeed and God bless you. You'll be much better off than the rest of us who are shackled to our lives at this point. And I don't even know if I'm going to remain because it's ridiculousness. So this guy, in Aurora, he lived on Paris Street. That's wild. In a one-bedroom apartment. How easy would it be to bug somebody? We saw that in the Slender Man things. How the one kid kept getting things put in his room. And especially if it's somebody in your own household. And I know you don't want to believe that. How easy would it be to listen in on somebody's conversation? It's not legal, but it can be done. And in an online dating profile, he identified himself as an agnostic. Well, most neuroscientists are. He left some digital footprints. MySpace, dating profile Match.com, Adult Friend Finder, as well as a resume at the employment website Monster. He allegedly hired workers and left reviews of their services on an online message board. Biology Cloud. Their relationship lasted until an encounter on St. Patrick's Day, ending when she felt distant from him following an encounter between Holmes and another man who talked to her during a date. She said that Holmes often made deadpan jokes that made other people uncomfortable and had expressed his desire to end people. She tried to recommend getting professional help despite not taking his claims seriously. And again, I'm not saying if this happened, didn't happen. I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying we have to start playing devil's advocate. We have to look at things through the opposing lens, through the any good debate. You have to look at the enemies. You have to know your enemy. We have to look at these things from another lens to understand what's going on. Holmes told a state-appointed psychiatrist physician that their breakup contributed to his violent depression. I want to know if he said anything as far as targeting goes. He suffered from mental illness, could have been dangerous. You see what statements 2 weeks before, he sent a text message asking a graduate student if the student ever heard of the disorder poromania. Because he was, and warning the student to stay away from him because he was bad news. Let's look at that though. He sent a text message. Okay, so again, we're assuming that this man even had his phone. Why would somebody incriminate themselves like that and say, stay away from me? And what does that mean? I think I know what it means, but let's. a state wherein features and symptoms unique to both depression and mania, including episodes of anguish, despair, self-doubt, rage. Wow. Can we just say demons at this point? Can we just say demons? Okay, so anyway, he was a fan of superheroes and also quoted an anonymous law enforcement official as claiming that Holmes' apartment was decorated with Batman paraphernalia. However, later reports described his apartment as relatively empty, while mentioning the presence of a single Batman mask. The DA prosecuted him. He said he had an obsession with Batman. Aragon was the right way. Dave Aragon, an actor from the MTV television series Pit My Ride, stated Holmes called him twice the month before the thing took place. Okay, that's just weird. Aragon was the writer, director, and star of a then upcoming film entitled The Suffocator of Sins, which depicts a vigilante. Oh my gosh. I can't. I didn't, and again, this is a research with me, so I didn't look this up ahead of time. You mean, okay, so you mean to tell me this is another incident where there's a script? Are you seeing this? This is, how many times have we seen this now in the last 6 months alone? He already wrote the script. I'm going to do it. I'm going to write my own script for my life and see if it happens. I'm not even kidding, but I'm going to write good things. And nobody knows my name but me, so that's cool too. Wow. So this is another case. You want to see another, you want to talk about photographic memory? Watch this. We just looked at this not too long ago, but I want to refresh your memory if you weren't here. These two guys allegedly ended their parents. However, I know it's CNN, not everybody likes them, whatever. I want to, oh, 2012. No, not this. That's not what I was after. Screenplay. They wrote a screenplay before this happened. Eric Menendez and a close friend once wrote, how many pages? 66. How many books in the KJV? 66. The KJV is like Christ is king. He's the king of the earth. He's going to judge the earth. I'm sick of people giving Satan too much credit. Satan, this is not Satan's dominion. He might own the world. What does that mean? Money, currency, the system. He can buy and sell kings all day if he wants to and if they consent. Okay? The judge is Christ. Something wrong with the KJV, and I've been telling you this for a minute because I used to be into Wicca, and I know that a book of shadows is bound in black leather and the pages are vellum, just like a Bible. It's all intent, and it's all, you have one that's real and one that's counterfeit, one that's legitimate and one that's counterfeit, and something's wrong with the KJV. It's not the first, it didn't come first, man. Nobody wants to listen to me. Look, there's another case of these guys wrote a screenplay and then it happened. Or, okay, is this them, whoever they are, I don't even know, telling us that it's all fake? That, hey, he wrote a screenplay about it, and now they're going to act it out on TV for you. Much like the Mormons, how Lori Daybell was on Wheel of Fortune and all of these other body pageant shows and stuff before the murders allegedly took place, and she was on the news and then on court TV for that. These people live their lives on TV. It was once known that that was Satan's kingdom, that like his kingdom was the screen. Like, if you want to be immortalized in a fake way, not an eternal way, he can immortalize you. He'll put you on the silver screen. And there's a reason it used to be silver, too. Anyway, we're getting off topic. So, Eric Menendez, the Menendez brothers, exactly what happened in their life, they wrote about before it happened. So, which of these things is true? our scripts coming true that we put into this quantum computer that is the internet, or if we have enough intention as we're writing them and using vellum and old school, the old way, the old ways. I'm traditional in that way. I appreciate the old ways for, their ritual and reverence towards God and the nature kingdom that he gave us. It's our home. Balance. We need a balance. Satan is the death bringer. I heard somebody say the other day, a channel that I really admire, person that I admire, say that Satan is afraid of aging and death. That's devil talking. Satan brought death. It's his fault. He is death. He is the Grim Reaper. In the book of Essene, Satan is called death and death is called parasite. I don't know how many different ways to tell you that Creator God is not a God of death. But he figured if that's what we thought, he would come down here and tell us, hey, no, this is not the way. This is the wrong way. You can't keep sinning and then just killing animals. That's why he's the last sacrifice. Hello. To tell us, hey, this is what you'll do to your own kind. This is what you'll do to me. Don't do this anymore. It's done. It is finished now. So why are we still here? What's going on? So is it real? I don't know, man. I don't know. So we have Operation Gotham Shield. When did this occur? Century 17. That's Canada conducted an overlapping exercise whose scenario involved simultaneous threats in Ottawa and Halifax. It also involved friendly intervention of U.S. military forces into eastern Canada. Unlike Gotham Shield, Canada's Department of National Defense did not publicly describe the scenario around the staunch Maple 17 was based, but media outlets would later cite sources who confirmed it involved a... So while they're doing these events and these exercises, and nobody knows about it until it's over, are these lights we see in the sky? Are they some of these, things we see going off that we think are bombs and like what's actually happening here? Some people thought it was a false flag, or as distraction from a planned U.S. attack from North Korea. Let me show you something else that also took place at the same time. So this is Operation Gotham Shield, 2017, April. Remember that. 2 ships dock in New... Wait. Oh my gosh. This phone, I'm sorry. In New York and L.A. Okay, so here it is. USNS Mercy, USNS Comfort receiving patients in LA, New York City to free overwhelmed local hospitals focusing on patients with CV. The Navy hospital ships. So this happened, what day was this? The Comfort and the Mercy. Okay, where are they? This would be a real sneaky way to get a lot of people into the country. And another sneaky way to allow them to immerse themselves in society would be to put masks on their faces. You would not know their nationality at all. So I just wanted to refresh your memory on that too. That's not part of this, but again, it's all connected. All right, so back to Operation Gotham. Now again, we're going to look at a couple things that overlap here. So this might be weird for a minute. So I want to look at the date. December 18th, 2017. Donald Trump's robot featured advances in technology. So Disney has this thing called the Hall of Presidents. And in 2017, they added Trump. Okay? You should take a look at how lifelike some of these things are made to be. There is a lot of very interesting things out there. Now look at this, Speechify. You mean to tell me that if I want to, April 22nd, you mean to tell me that if I want to make a video with a fake AI Trump dancing or getting pew-pewed like Eminem had in his video a few years back, and now it happens, allegedly happens. It also allegedly happened on The Simpsons. And you're also seeing Kamala Harris now, like you saw Lisa in a purple suit on The Simpsons. Like, guys, come on. We're either setting up reality to occur, or they are regenerating and recycling stories as legitimate real life news stories, and they're just being taken from fiction, and none of it's real. And again, it's just government, as in mind control, to keep us behaving, which might be a good thing for the really wicked ones out there. Trump voice generator, 2017. I told you my sister was pranking me back in 2016, telling me I want to cruise and all these other things. And then I told you that people that I know very well that I was talking to through social media had suddenly changed. They sounded the same. Their pictures looked the same. But when I had messages with them, they weren't using the same words and they weren't talking how they usually talk. They sounded like themselves. Very odd, too, that you see people in person like Ariana Grande, President Trump, RFK. They're all having voice issues. What's going on with that? Do I think this is the only thing going on? No, but I want to show something I found when I was looking for this. And I don't know why this hits me the way it does. It just hits me as funky. We cannot assume that just because a text message comes from somebody's phone, or just because there's information in their computer, the easiest way now, and it's very nasty, very nasty. People are trying to do bad business now. Back in the day when you wanted to ruin somebody's business, you would go and say, oh, I heard there's rats in their warehouse. There's rats in their warehouse. And then you'd get the health department to go in there. And even if nothing happened, people would stop shopping there because of the rumor. The rumor was enough to get people to stop. What's the biggest way to ruin somebody today? Say they're a child harmer. Say they got certain things in their computers. Or they're an anti-Semite. Have certain tweets go out from that person. But what if you don't want them to know that you hijacked their accounts? What do you do then? Haha. It's called cloning. There's a clone app for every app. You can fake an app. There is also what's called a dual SIM card. You can have two different numbers attached to the same cell phone device. So that means I could text this person from this phone number and that person from another phone number. You can also get proxy throwaway phone numbers. They're called VoIPs from Google. They're burner numbers. Do you see where I'm going with this? We are dealing with young minds. These are children who were indoctrinated against their own parents and the system, but they were not taught all the way through, and they did not think this all the way through. They are using very rudimentary means. They're making very basic mistakes. Much like I showed you with the trail of blood on his cheek the other day, how it was going in the wrong direction. Very simple mistakes right in front of us. Just because something comes from somebody's phone does not mean it's them. Just because somebody's phone is in a certain location does not mean that phone is with them. Sometimes, yes, it does. And this is how they're going to get you to chip yourself. This is how. They'll say, we'll never question it now if it's inside of you. If we're using like a digital fingerprint. And hey, while we're at it, we'll attach all your medical information, all your banking information. You'll love it. It'll be super convenient. And nobody can ever steal from you again. And nobody can steal your child or your pets. They won't be part of missing 411 because guess what? They'll be chipped. Do you see how all these moving parts are the same thing? And there are episodes in Batman with the Penguin when he sends all these drones out. Right? And the do. Yeah. Young minds we're dealing with. And look, I never get texts, but I'm getting bombarded with texts on my main phone right now. I could show you, but I'm not going to dox myself that way. Okay, so something happened right there. Trump's still using his old Android phone. That's very, very risky. January 25th, 2017. And we also saw that he was the Hall of Presidents in Disney. He was installed in there in 2017. That would make a really creepy pasta. Really creepy. Because guess what? Now that Hall of Presidents is locked down. You're not allowed to go there. Gee, I wonder why everyone's trashing Disney. Anything that represents children or innocence is gone. And they're even making it dirty. They're making you think of dirty things when you see cartoons now. The original Disney cartoons were sweet, most of them. And some cartoons back in the day weren't for children. They were for adults. Like Bugs Bunny. So in 2017, they're ridiculing Trump because he's still using an Android. Okay? What's funny is the guy that attempted to end Trump, which is heinous, like it's just a heinous act. And them saying there's no room for political violence, I'm not even going to open that can of worms right now because that could go either way. You know, no matter what you say about that, it's going to be looked at as a negative, and people will always be around to twist our words and presume and assume what we think. And when we try to explain ourselves like rational beings, all they do is scream like they're at a wrestling match, like everything's WWE, and now they're catering to that mindset. And I'm sorry to tell you, but it's barbaric and Neanderthal-like, and we should be past all of that by now. Why are we acting like this? So he stopped using his Android in 2017. Now it says he joined TikTok in 2024, but he also got an Apple. When did he get the Apple? Because yes, for whatever reason, that matters too. And I was looking up the same thing. I want to know if Trump is related to the royal family. Now, we already made the connection with the red hair and Batman. So who is the cast of characters? All right, well, Bruce Wayne. I mean, if you guys haven't figured it out yet, I hope you have. Bruce Wayne, a.k.a. is Batman, right? And Poison Ivy, interestingly enough, she also has red hair. So Batman, aka Bruce Wayne, is Elon Musk, obviously. Okay. The Joker, I'm going to kind of hang loose with him for a minute. I'm going to see if Two-Faced is down here. I don't know if he is. Who is Robin? I'm not sure about that yet. I don't know if there is one or if he's behind the scenes. Now remember, these are like the little dolls when you were a kid. I think they're Dutch or Russian. When you take one doll out and there's another one inside of it and another one inside that one, and another one inside that one, like Shrek said, we're all like onions. This is like an onion. These people are all proxies. You have Elon Musk standing behind Trump. He's like, I showed you that in the picture the other day, right? So he's kind of like behind Trump. He's behind all these droid toys, Neuralink, all that type of stuff. Who is his Robin? I would love to say Gordy, but I think it might be his little brother because I was looking at who's close to Elon. Oh, okay. So I got to show you this because this just happened. So. Peterson, as much as I admire this man, in the general scheme of things, again, we're looking symbolically, in the general scheme of things, Peterson would be two-faced. Why? Because number one, I don't like how he, and this is going to go against things I said in the past, and I will explain myself. Back in the day, his wife was ill. God bless her. She's not anymore. He would cry, bawl every podcast. Now, I said, and right after I said this, he was bawling every day, but I said, I haven't seen anyone have emotion in years now. I haven't seen anyone genuinely tear up or cry. And this dude was crying every podcast. But then I heard him say something very interesting. He said he was on the carnivore diet. Let me be very clear. I'm not judging you. Okay. I'm telling you from experience and from experiments I've done on myself and in my own life so that I could bring you this information. It is true that when you eat of an animal, of its flesh or blood, you take in and consume whatever attitude it had when it passed. I know that when I eat red meat, they say it makes your blood pressure rise. It does. You get more emotional. Sometimes you get weepy. Sometimes you get angry. You never know. I think that's why he was able to cry pretty much on cue. Why do I call him Two-Faced? Because I think he has a different face that he does not show the public. He's talking about God and Jesus and everybody. That's great. He's bringing people to God, allegedly. What God are they bringing to everybody? Just you'll see. And again, I'm going to be in this box all by myself because I'm not going to fit in any of these preformed notions that everyone has. Regardless, it's not about me. It's about Christ, and it's about what's going on here and how they're deceiving us. So this happened just the other day. Elon Musk, he's kind of a big dude. It's almost like, I mean, they are standing beside each other, aren't they? Jordan Peterson just looks smaller altogether than him. That's interesting, huh? So we've got Elon and we've got Jordan. And again, I think, why do I say Two-Faced? Because when people talk about God, but they live in super luxurious homes and they have every comfort that this day of convenience can offer, it's very hard to know the true God. You have to endure struggle. You have to endure heartache. And we're going to talk about this in another video about this doctrine that's floating around out there, and I got to find who created it because it is ancient. But there's this opposing Christianity doctrine that says excessive sin leads to salvation, and all I'm going to say about that is every saint was once a great sinner. Do I believe that's the road for everyone? God, I hope not. It was for me. It was the only way to bring me back to God, was to show me that the devil existed. But people didn't want me just back to God. They wanted me with no Jesus, and we cannot really know the Father if it wasn't for Jesus. Everyone else puts up these gates, and they play gatekeeper to God. Christ didn't do that. Christ did most everything out in the open except for praying, which he went to be alone to do. I'm not here to preach. I swear I'm not. And I know that I get off topic. I get that. It's what this channel is about. It's what we do here. And yes, conversation is not banned. I do not censor things. I don't believe in that completely, or mostly even. However, I can't deal with trolls right now. I just don't have the heart for it. I feel bad for you. I feel how lost you are, and that makes me very sad for you. So I would say Jordan Peterson is Two-Faced, and I saw it really good symbolically when he wore that suit. That is two different suits, one on one side, one on the other side, right there. Kind of like Jekyll and Hyde. And Jekyll and Hyde was a doctor too, I think. He was like a psychiatrist of sorts. This would be Two-Faced, because I don't like some of the rhetoric that comes out of his mouth. And I've got issues with his lifestyle, honestly. Like, I'm not even going to lie. It's very hard for somebody like this to know Christ. Christ was humble. I don't care what anyone says. Like, he was not about war. He was not about money. Like, that, if that's what you think, if you think Christianity is to bring you wealth, if you think Christ was here to overturn the political party, purposely, anyways, then you don't know him. And I don't want to hear him say that he doesn't know you. What else does this got to do with Batman? Well, just hang on. So we've got him acting the part as Two-Face. We've got Bruce Wayne is Elon Musk, right? Where does Trump fit into all of this? Does he fit into all of this? How does all of it operate together? Well, I want to see real quick. This is the fandom page for Gotham City. So I just wanted to check it out real quick. Oh my gosh, it's huge. Huh. You know what? I don't want to lie to you guys or misinform you. I want to show you this real quick, that the Hall of Presidents is shut down. residence closed. Jeez. Pad on this is very delayed. I apologize. CLOS. Is it closed permanently? So this is May 29th. Isn't that interesting, guys? June, July. When did Trump start coming back out in public and rallying again? And again, Ivanka, she came out like literally the day after I was talking about not seeing her and how I was concerned about all the women of the realm and how I see women being subjugated, but it's kind of being concealed and hidden. The divine feminine is being crushed, and that is why we have this unbalancing occurring with our men. That's why some of them want to be women. We have not been properly balanced. All right? And the Bible even says, God is our father, God is our mother. Jewish tradition once said that there was a God the Father and a God the Mother, that one split into two. God has a family in the heavens. He wanted a physical family that could interact with him and be with him. He walked with Adam and Eve in the garden. He came down every evening. That doesn't sound like just spirit to me. There's more to all this that we're missing. And this land that we're standing on, wherever you roam, you have dominion there if you are of mankind. The second you allow the demonic to attach to you, you lower your vibration, you lower yourself in the hierarchy. You no longer have that dominion over them until you overtake it again. And I'm trying to teach about, I'm not teaching. I'm trying to relay information about consent and about what's going on symbolically in front of you on the screens, and about not letting yourself and your families be divided about people that you'll never meet. You're never going to meet Trump. He's never going to come have dinner at your house. Why would you allow him to separate you from your sister or your father or your brother? Fauci is never going to come to your house. He is never going to have dinner with you. He is never going to specifically, individually, probably save your life. So why allow him to separate you from your sister, your brother, your mother, your daughter, your son? Stop it. Stop allowing this crap to separate you. Have I not just shown you basically that it's all an act, it's all a facade, it's all an illusion, it's all fiction? Now, the day that this comes to our shores, the day that we are physically interacting and dealing with it, then yes, do whatever you can to get the truth on the screen and to other people and to protect your families. But until then, live your life as righteously as you can and as honest and genuine as you can with those around you. Because I know from experience, when you do not do that, very bad things happen. Everything went to crap in my family, and then it went to crap in the world. Why did that happen? Because things ripple out, and they affect everyone. The only way we are going to change our nation is by changing ourselves. These people are not going to do it for us. And it's probably time that regular human beings and men and women and children get off the internet, because it's being overrun by bots anyway now. And if those are my fellow Americans that I'm seeing going crazy in the comment sections, like literally behaving like drones and beehives or hived mentalities, then there is no hope. So this was actually closed down for a brief time, which I found interesting as well. I found it interesting that Trump stopped using his Android between 2017 and 2019. I find it also very interesting that we're incriminating people now and we're judge, jury, and executioner just because you're a big YouTuber named Penguin. I find that pretty disgusting that you're exposing people with their alleged text messages, but you have no proof that they actually sent those messages. There is no proof that you're not making them up yourself. Why do I take it so personal? Because my sons were greatly influenced by people like you. And because they were into things they shouldn't have been into. Because of people like you. And because they're falling for cheap tricks like this so people like you can get rich. Exposing people. How is it exposing someone when you say a text message came from their phone and we're going to throw these people in jail? We're going to throw the book at them. Or now we got YouTube vigilantes, and that's just allowed to happen because we're passing the baton to the younger generation. Why not? Everyone's afraid of their own children. Well, I'm not. I'm not. I love them. I love my community. I love my friends, family, and neighbors, even though they don't recognize me anymore. We have to stop allowing ourselves to be divided by basically a freaking show everybody decides they want to put on in real life. Gotham City. Showing you this. Stop it, man. Why are you doing that to me? Okay. It was founded allegedly in 1724. 172. Those numbers are everywhere as well. New York is where allegedly Gotham City was founded. Planet Earth. Presidents or residency list. Films: The Batman Part 2. TV series: The Penguin. Ah, gotta love The Penguin. No, really, I don't. Gotham City has been in such a decline since your parents died, especially your father. He loved this city, and I guess you do too. So he has an Alfred, Bruce Wayne does, to kind of act as his conscience. Elon Musk has his mother everywhere he goes, which is honestly kind of creepy. I've read some about her. She's obviously a wise woman, a wise businesswoman. Is she good, bad, evil? I don't know any of those things. Again, I just know these people are all proxies. So where did our cast of characters go? Who else? If Elon Musk is Batman and Bruce Wayne, and Jordan Peterson, JP, is Two-Faced, or would he be the Joker? Or is Two-Faced... Hold up. Hold, please. Let's check. Fiddle-dee-dee. Where did the Batman tabs go? Did I lose them? I did. Okay, let's do it again. Let's do Batman main characters. And who else do we have? We have Harley. I'm sure she'll have to make an appearance. And the Joker, again, used to have red hair, so that could Harry representing him. We got Penguin. Of course, he's got, for whatever reason, they used to associate monocles with rich people. And yes, there used to be one on the Monopoly guy. I don't know if there still isn't. I've not gotten into that part of the Mandela effect because, honestly, it's too easy to brand change people all the time. Companies do. And he's got the top hat, which we know is indicative of certain clubs. Keep it under your hat. Secrets. We also looked at that in association with Dr. Sleep and Adrenochrome. So we've got these other characters. Some of them are kind of on the fringes. You don't hear about them a lot. But I've also noticed that there seems to be a crossover happening because you could also say that Elon Musk would be Iron Man as well, right? Because he was a very high-tech guy. Let's look at their cast. Can we see cast? I don't want season 5. I just want... No. Let's see who his villains are. Catwoman. Huh, there's the cat. No wonder we're seeing all these cats. But again, I think they've joined forces, and that's what I'm trying to tell, like, other believers, conservatives, even certain liberals, individual thinkers, just people that don't fit into the status quo. We all have a common enemy, man, and they all ganged up. It's probably our time to do the same. So who should play Two-Faced? Who ended up playing him? Aaron Eckhart. In The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight seems to be the big movie that everybody is like trying to emulate. Bane, we know Bane. He's a really big dude. He's hard to see right there, though. The Joker. Who knows the jokes, though? Who's like the jokey guy? Who is still like a comedian or someone trying to be a comedian that's a little... I'm not sure who this would be. But again, I wanted to show you the theme that's being used here. Notice all the YouTubers, by the way, that you watch who have either a Batman tattoo or a bat on the back of their wall, like a neon lamp or something, and watch how many have cats and are like behaving oddly. I'm not going to go too far into that. This is interesting. This person, whoever this is, Raz al Ghul. Ra is an Egyptian god, right? Ghul, clay face, which is like shape-shifting. And again, I've seen this in person too. If you get these individuals who have these attachments, if you get them worked up, excited, passionate, angry, whatever, something about like their brow line, and then or their nose and their mouth will begin to like change in front of you. It's, again, I don't think it's something everybody can see, but more people are seeing it, and it's not a mental illness, unfortunately. So Heath Ledger, we also know that there was an ending of a great actor in this movie as well. He played the Joker. So who would play the Joker in our script now that we have? I'm not sure, but I wanted to show you this and show you how these things are starting to connect and how we have to be very careful with AI and tech right now in accusing people and doing false witnessing against people, because there's a lot going on right now that we are unaware of, and we got to be careful. The other one I want you to keep your eye out for is the Riddler. He has always been a pretty central figure in the show. And, especially since the Batman 66 TV show. Look at that. The Riddler. He actually kind of reminds me of Jordan Peterson, too, in a way. I think it's the suit and just the way he talks, sometimes how he talks in riddles. Oh, 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 I don't even want to say it. Could it be? No, he's too, I don't know. We got a lot of recent converts that some of them might actually fit in these slots, which is almost disturbing. Harley Quinn, I would watch for that one, obviously, for obvious reasons. Oh, twins, of course, we've got twins. And then what you should do is look up the actual movie, The Dark Knight, because this seems to be what everything is attached to. For whatever reason. And again, it could be the reason this might be manifesting in our reality is if Heath was a sacrifice. Something happens when somebody dies on film or while filming. We're going to look into that too, but that's a woo-woo, high strangeness fringe video. People are doing this and actually ending people or harming people, even campers on YouTube, cutting themselves, blood being a part of the screen, and then suddenly they have million subs and they're rolling, right? Something was going on with that. So Christian Bale, which this movie has kind of followed me for a lot of weird reasons. Maggie Gyllenhaal, let's see. Oh, Alfred was Michael Caine. Heath Ledger was the Joker. Gary Oldman, which is very odd. That dude is so typecast in a lot of things. He's always a vampire or a devil or like a parasitic being. So here's the actual movie. Can we see the overview? On crime in Gotham, yes. So it's all about the crime in Gotham. The Joker suddenly throws the town into chaos. The Caped Crusader begins to tread a fine line between heroism and vigilantism. So we're going to come back to this occasionally, maybe more often than I would like to, but when I reference Operation Gotham, this is what I'm referencing, is 2017, when the military or the UN came into New York City, and I don't personally think they left. My personal opinion, hey, I'm allowed to have that. This is not any type of, I'm not bound, I don't have sponsors. None of my opinions reflect YouTube or their subsidiaries. Period. But we're going to look at this more. And I just thought of something. Oh, one more thing. Something good to end this on. And again, for people who think I don't remember things, unless you're messing with my mind, I remember a lot. And of course, who is it? It's Taylor Swift, y'all. And I have to say, she's a beautiful woman, but in her concert pictures and images, she always looks very large. Like, look, she's with a football player. That dude's got to be 6'5", 6'7". That chick's got to be like 6 foot, 6'2". I don't. She just looks very fat. Like, I don't mean like that. I mean she looks big. Okay, so this happened very recently. I'll show you the date just so you can not talk trash on me. This was 1 month ago. Taylor Swift fans share theories about mysterious figures seen dancing in the rafters at her Madrid concert. Right there. Isn't this something that the Batman does? Oh, don't do this to me. Go back. Oh. Okay. I'll make it big for you guys. So this dude was seen, woman, I don't know, figure, was seen at her concert about a month ago in Madrid, Spain. This is what the Batman used to do. At the end of every episode, and I have children, I had brothers and sisters, and I loved television. I was a latchkey kid, and my mom owned a video store. What can I say? So at the end of every episode, he would stand in the rafters of some building, or he would stand on the roof of some building, and they would shine his light in the sky, and there he'd go off another one. He would just, have a moment to rest and start to feel depressed again, and he would get called again. Whatever's happening here again is not of an well-balanced adult mentality. Maybe they mean well, but I just don't see any of this going to any place good. That's my personal opinion. I'm going to try and counteract all of this negativity and put some good thoughts and good things into the algorithm when I'm speaking through it to you. Remember, if you forget everything else, do all things and say all things from a place of love. Be grace. It's not enough to give grace now. Be grace itself. Give grace. Be grace. Show compassion. Be compassion. Okay? Something is really going on with people. People do not appear the same as they used to. If you watch the actual video, when the camera is not on her, in this newest RNC video, this one, because they're all in white. It's very odd. You've got red, white, and black, and that's it. And the Trump girls are both in all white. She don't look like herself. I used to really admire her business savvy and her fashion sense. I grew up, watching her or whatever. The camera, every time it went off of her, she would deadpan again. And it was strange. Like when somebody's looking at her, she's like smiling or whatever, and then suddenly she'd shut down again. I'm not sure what's going on with everybody. I can only make speculations, but I know it's happened in real life to certain people as well. And Trump himself at the RNC was just he's never been a great speaker. We know this. We know he's not the most eloquent person. I'm talking about the eyes, and I'm talking about the movements. Very jerky. It just, something's not right, man. And I'm not going to pretend it is. Anyway, that is when I say Gotham, Project Gotham, that's what I'm talking about. When I talk about Operation Gotham, I'm saying all this started with that. And then everything kind of evolved from there with Corona and all this stuff. But if you look at, oh gosh, really? If you look at, pay attention to the stuff I'm talking about. When you watch YouTubers, do they got the Batman tattoo? Do they got him on their wall? Are they trying to push you towards one agenda or another? Ask yourself why. Look into who they are. Please be wise. All right, that's enough for this one. I might do a short upload, a vlogish type thing later in case people missed the last live stream when I talked at the end. So I might post something short. And then I'm going to get into this whole RR scripts creating reality. And at the same time we look at that, we're going to look into something called typecasting, because I don't think that's accidental either. And I think, I don't think our world is exactly what we thought it was. And it's okay. I think it'll be all right. But I think for right now, we have to be very careful of our words and our actions because all these things are going to ripple outwards to people we love. All right. You guys have a blessed day. I hope that as you go forth in this day, that the Holy Spirit goes ahead of you to soften the hearts and the minds and the words of those you interact with, and that the fire of the Holy Spirit is left behind you in the hearts of those that you interact with. Have a blessed day. Bye.